webinars so that we may post those at a later date. So um, also, if you have a question that you would like to ask the panel, feel free to use the Q&A function that is a part of Zoom so that we can capture your questions, answer your questions, whether we do it in the Q&A section or out loud, verbally. And also, we love to get questions that we can add to our FAQ lists. So it's great if you have a question, feel free to enter it into the Q&A section so that we can address it. All right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? It looks like we've got a pretty good audience that's had time to join us today. So I'll kick things off. Good morning, everyone. My name is Eugene Howard. I am the Land Use and Housing Technical Assistance Unit Manager, and we just really am grateful to have you all here this morning. This is our monthly Engage with DOLA webinar where we share information and updates related to all the work underway here at the state related to the laws that were passed in 2024. So I'll go ahead and get things started. Our presenters today are here on the screen. I'm getting things kicked off for us. You'll hear from Ashley Basham, who will, towards the end of the presentation, give some really exciting updates related to the grant program and the grant component to the land use laws. I'll be passing things off to my colleague Hannah Van Wegen. You'll also hear from our other technical assistant team member, Mark Williams. And then we've got Nathan Lindquist here from CDOT, and also not visible on the screen, Scott Williamson is also here today as a part of our panel. General overview of just the meeting format. This is an opportunity for us to provide you all with updates and things that are happening here at the state to provide tools and resources and supports for all of you at the local level. We'll go over our transit-oriented communities law, our accessory dwelling unit law, updates related to the parking law. Of course, we want to spend some time going over housing and the housing planning and some of the displacement work that we are developing. Uh, uh, just historically, we've talked also about neighborhood centers and strategic growth. And then, of course, we'll conclude with our grant programs and how we are looking to provide financial resources to support all of you in these collective efforts. And then we've got some other useful resources and contact information at the end of the presentation today. We really do these webinars because we really want to make sure that we provide an avenue, an opportunity to share information, but not only share information out to each of you, but also to solicit and get input in your questions. This is really, truly a collaborative effort. The legislature last year really sort of set up the rules and guidelines and have asked all of us here, at the staff level, to work with each other in understanding and interpreting these laws. And so we do love getting questions from you when we hear from and consult with local governments. It really is helping us move closer and towards more informed implementation. And again, it's really truly a team effort. So we really appreciate so many of you have already reached out to us. We've had some engagement opportunities with many of you, and I think our work is enriched through those processes. So we just really want to highlight and thank you all for those who have reached out to us, and because your input has been invaluable in helping us develop these tools. We will always post recordings of the webinar to our land use and housing website, where you will find a lot of the information, tools, resources, overviews, summaries, guiding, documentation, things like that. All of that information we've tried to centralize into one key location. So we've got our land use and housing website, which I'll talk about here in a moment. We continue to take the input and feedback and the questions that we receive from each of you to inform and update our frequently asked questions resources. So again, if there's a question that you have today or something that you have wondered about, that is a great place to go to first, of course, to see if there's an answer to your question. And we are always here and available to all of you. So definitely feel free to reach out to us as well. And our contact information will be at the end of this presentation. And so lastly, and I know I've mentioned it already, but our new and improved land use and housing webpage is just a great resource. And so we always ask folks to check in with us for any updated information. At our meeting last month, we covered a number of different things. I won't go over this right now, this slide, but you can see that we've been really busy, like all of you have, and just wanted to kind of give a snapshot of what we covered last month in the event you were unable to join us. The slides and the recording for last month's webinar are posted online. So if you would like to go back and sort of revisit that information, you can see here what we covered, and that is made available to you. For this month, we've got more updates. So we've got some pretty exciting things that we want to cover today. Really some important updates to some of the tools and processes. So I'll get into that here in a moment. But you can see there's quite a bit to our webinar today. Again, just wanted to give you all a sense of what we're going to cover. And again, I think we all, many of you have been participating in these webinars for some time, so you know why we are here. Last year's legislation that was being formulated about this time a year ago is now law. And these are some of the key laws related to the work that we do here at DOLA. You know, looking at the residential occupancy limits, parking requirements, ADUs, transit-oriented communities, and of course, affordable housing planning. Uh, this is a sort of overview of what we put on our website if you haven't had a chance to visit recently. And this has really been informed by advisors, really at the local government level. And we are always looking for opportunities to continue engaging with all of you. This is where we will put some useful tools. We are offering technical assistance. We've been doing a fair amount of that, particularly as our first key deadlines are soon approaching in June. And so, again, if you haven't had a chance to reach out to us yet with your questions, feel free to do that. And we know that there's going to be some momentum as we get closer to that June 30th deadline. So we are here. We are happy to meet with you and have conversations with you. We have some presentations that we put together, much like today's. We've got other resources that we have available to us. I'll be speaking to that here in a moment as well. And then if you don't have time necessarily to engage with us live, but would like to submit a question for follow-up, you can do so by contacting us through our webpage. I mentioned at the onset that we have consolidated. We did have at one point two different ways to reach out to us digitally through our web presences. We had two. We've consolidated those to really streamline and make sure that all of the information that's being put together as resources for you would be easy to find in one central location. So again, I think we've talked and covered most of this already, but we've tried to organize information and tools by the laws themselves, as well as having overall overarching communication and tools and resources. So again, great resource. We encourage you to reach out through our website for any information that you might be looking for. And if you don't find what you're looking for, of course, we are here ready to assist you. One of the tools, or one of the ways that we have enhanced that website that we were just discussing, we've had a lot of questions over the last few months about, does this law pertain to me or my community? And so we felt that one way that we could really provide help with understanding what applies and where is through an interactive map. So we've taken the laws, we've looked at the local governments and jurisdictions that are included in those laws, and we put it together in a visual format. So for those of you who are more visual learners or seekers of information, we now have an interactive map. I was looking at it this morning. It's pretty straightforward and intuitive. I really, really hope that that can be something that can benefit you or those that you work with. In addition to the interactive component of the map, we are in the process of also posting online in the same area a downloadable spreadsheet. So for those of you who prefer more sort of spreadsheet related tools, we have one that we've developed and we're getting that posted as well. So a variety of ways to find out, do these laws apply to me? How can I opt in certain areas to certain laws? And of course, we are really encouraging everyone to check this out. So this resource is hot off the press, one of our key updates for today. Another big update related to this work is our work in developing a reporting portal. We have a great team of folks helping us develop this interactive sort of way of not only understanding what the laws require and the forms and things related to how to let us know how you are doing. We've got in development a single point of entry, this portal for providing your reports and statuses. So we have a few folks that are online today who have been volunteering to help us develop this tool because, again, we really want to make sure that it's easy to use, intuitive, and is a way for you all to adhere to the requirements of these laws, but to do so in the most efficient and time sensitive way that we can develop. So we've got a handful of upcoming opportunities for those of you who may be interested in understanding what this portal looks like or what will it do. And if you would like to review it and provide comments to it, on it to us, for us, we've got some opportunities coming up. The best way to volunteer for one of these sessions is to contact our colleague, Shane Casey. You can see his email address on the screen, but for anyone who's just listening to the audio version, that's shane.casey@state.co.us. And if you reach out to Shane, he can coordinate which of these times would best work for you, and we'd love to have your involvement in helping us develop this tool. Another resource that we are developing that we hope will be of use to you all is overviews of the laws in PowerPoint slides or these PowerPoint templates. So we've developed and we're about to get them ready to publish. We've got a couple more reviews to conduct, but once those have been signed off on, we're going to make those available on, you name it, our website. So that's where the information will be made available. And we're developing them in a way to be pretty sort of transparent or generic rather, so that we understand that many local governments have your own branding, your own template styles and formats. And so these will be really basic looking, and that's by design. We want to make sure that if these are useful to you, that they're easy just to incorporate into your own local government's formats. So don't expect too much whiz and bang in them, but the information will absolutely be relevant and could be a great way at a high level to help communicate to those that you all are engaged with on what the laws are all about. And so coming soon, would love to make sure to make that announcement when those are available, because we understand that many of you are meeting with communities, meeting with your elected officials, perhaps others within your local governments. And so we wanted to make sure that we provided these resources to you. And so that's the conclusion of our big picture general updates, the overarching updates. Now we're going to get into law specific updates for you, starting with our transit oriented communities. So this is a quick snapshot of what we've got in store for 2025. Can't believe that we're almost a third of the way through this year already. It feels like I was just putting away my Christmas decorations. So I won't go over every last detail because we're going to get into some of these in the upcoming slides, but the key thing, just a highlight on this slide is the portal development, which I just spoke to, and then our availability to provide one-on-one technical assistance and guidance as we get closer to that June 30th deadline for the preliminary TOC assessment reports. So a lot of things in the works here, and just really encourage you all to reach out to us as needed. Many of these items that are listed here, we're going to get into in the coming slides, but just to give you a quick overview, we've been doing some additional work around the housing opportunity goal parcels and parcel layers and GIS. We've been making some updates to those. We've also been conducting some trainings and review of the transit center calculation modeling. Of course, I've talked about the portal already. And really, we have been having conversations with jurisdictions that have reached out to us about the preliminary transit-oriented communities assessment reports. So if you haven't had a chance to really dive into the details of that, but know that you are a subject jurisdiction, feel free to, of course, look at the resources available or reach out to us and we can engage with you in conversations. So just a quick overview there. We continue to enhance and refine our TOC law guidance. So this is a friendly reminder to always double check what could be current or new in the guidance. So for those of you who maybe downloaded a version of this document, maybe back at the beginning of the year, January, February timeframe, it may be a good idea to come back to the website and download a fresh copy just to make sure that you have all of the most current information. So you can see here, sections 1 and 2 provide overviews and summaries of the law. Section 3, it's sort of interpretive guidance related to that. We've got a number of tools that we continue to develop and work on. So you can kind of see what they are and how they work by downloading this resource and reviewing it. Mentioned some of the reporting templates. Many of you helped guide the form and manner documentation that we have available, but we continue to add on to that. So we've got some forms in development and another way to review those and to make sure that they are reflecting you and your community. We are asking for folks to if who have time to do courtesy reviews with us. And so we've got some forms that we've put together when we send or post this slide deck. These blue highlighted items are links to those documents. And so we really just welcome your review and input. So we're going to make this available and just really ask that for those of you who are interested and curious and have time to take a look at them, review them, and again, provide us with any feedback. I know we're getting pretty close to this 4:30 deadline. It's just a few days away. That's sort of an initial key target for us. But of course, at any time with any of the materials, if you have questions or thoughts or suggestions, we're always happy to take those in, regardless of deadlines that might be posted. So just wanting to make sure that don't be hindered by a deadline. We're always happy to take input and feedback. Another pretty exciting thing, we did have our HOG calculation and parcel data set webinar recently. We walked through, those of you who were able to join us for that, how to use the tools and resources, and we've posted not only the webinar recording on our website, but the slides associated to that. And really, the slides are meant to be an additional tool to help guide and walk you through the instructions on how to go about calculating your housing opportunity goal. So that's there. We have gone through for another iteration looking at our GIS resources. We continue to look for ways to add more exemptions, exempt parcels, and a lot of that, I will say, has come from engaging with communities. So for those of communities who've had a chance to look at these resources and have reached out to us, we have found some additional opportunities to identify more parcels, in this case for exemptions. And so, again, your input and collaboration is really helpful to us. And so, we've got some new data sets available. We've got our data dictionary revised and updated. Um, and I mentioned the interactive map on where the laws apply and to whom they apply. And so those are some of the things that we continue to evolve and develop. And we do all of that with your help. A key member of our team is Kyle Soner. You can see his contact information here. I call him our GIS guru, who's really getting into the details of all the mapping and the GIS resources. So he's a great person to get to know if you haven't already, and would be a great person to reach out to if you do have questions about the GIS mapping information or how to use or access these data sets. So again, we're here to help. And Kyle is also assisting some communities in understanding or guiding them through the housing opportunity goal calculations. So again, if you're not certain or you might have questions about the best way to go about that, Kyle is a great resource to reach out to, in addition to any of the rest of us, but he's our technical guru when it comes to our data set layers. In addition to Kelly Blinn, who many of you have known and worked with. And she is still here, part of this team, and also is helping guide this work. So if you're used to reaching out to Kelly and working with her, she is still very much available. And Kyle is sort of that hands-on, day-to-day type person. So we're all here and happy to help. And speaking of helping, for some of the communities that have had a chance to reach out to us, we've been really excited. We've been helping folks understand the transit center calculation model. We've been walking through the model, demonstrating how it works. We actually conducted a webinar not too long ago, a few weeks ago. We recorded that and have posted that recording along with the slides on our website. You'll hear a recurring theme. So check that out if that would be of use to you, or of course, reach out to us, particularly if you've already started to play around with the tool and wanting to maybe have some questions answered. And I will say that for those communities that have had a chance to reach out to us and we've gotten online and we've kind of reviewed things together in a really interactive way, it's been really exciting. We recognize that many of you are very, very busy. You've got a lot on your plates. There's a lot going on in our state and around the state right now. And so, one of the things that we want to really truly acknowledge is that, it may feel like yet another thing to have to take on, another requirement. And it can maybe even feel a little bit daunting at first. And we recognize that we really do. And we've also been really excited to see and experience that when we do engage a community with this tool and others and have a chance to kind of walk through, answer questions, I would say that we've seen some pretty nice results as a result of those conversations. Folks are getting a sense of what may have started out feeling a bit overwhelming. Once we get into the fine details of these tools, it's actually pretty easy to kind of navigate once you get some questions answered. So we've seen some successes, we've seen some great results, we've discovered other opportunities for exemptions, things like that. And all that comes through working collaboratively with you. So we're pretty excited that once you kind of get in there and start working with it, that you too will get it and that you will be like that lady doing your fist pumps. So uh, just let us know if you need any assistance with that. And with that, that concludes the overview of the updates related to the Transit-Oriented Communities Law and the work that we've been doing. And so now I'd like to hand things over to my colleague, Hannah, to talk about minimum parking.
Dean.
All right.
I'm sure that if you've been on one of these webinars before, this slide will look familiar. This is just a quick reminder that the parking compliance date, so complying with the minimum parking law, is coming up on June 30th. I don't think any of us realize that it's almost May already, but we always want to make sure that that date is on your radar. Next, I just wanted to give a couple reminders on the assistance that's available in regards to this law. We did publish some updates to the parking minimum webpage. So as Eugene has described, the main webpage has each law broken out, and each one is each law has its own subpage. So on that subpage for parking minimum, there is the shape files, maps, and data spreadsheet for the applicable transit service area map. That's the map that is mentioned in the law itself. Also, I've heard some feedback that cities are hoping to see more code amendment examples. And so I just wanted to share that DOLA did publish the template land development code. This template code is up to date with the 2024 land use laws. And so if you're looking for some examples on how to incorporate new language or amend existing language, that's a really good place to start. Also on that parking minimum subpage are some other code amendment examples where we took some codes from around the state and redlined them to be compliant with the law. Yeah, it's just a great resource. Additionally, we are offering courtesy reviews. So if you have drafted some language but want to run something past our team just to make sure that it would work for 1304, please email me. I can usually turn around a courtesy review within a week or so, but if you have like a deadline coming up, or if you have a public hearing coming up really quickly, or if you get any questions after a public hearing about your draft code, please don't hesitate to email me. I'm always available to assist with that kind of thing. Also, if you just have any other questions about 1304, don't hesitate to email or reach out through the Engage DOLA webpage. Just as another reminder, we did publish the Parking Management Best Practices Report. This is a wealth of knowledge and contains guidance, examples, case studies, challenges and considerations on implementing some parking management best practices. We did also just have a webinar on this particular document. That recording and those slides will be posted soon. Like I mentioned, the recording and slides will get posted soon, and Eugene already talked about the parking minimum law template slides. And moving on to ADUs, we have a little bit more information on this one. So again, this will look really familiar. Again, that June 30th deadline is coming up quicker than any of us anticipated. And we've been getting some questions about how to become a supportive jurisdiction, an ADU supportive jurisdiction. And so I thought I'd spend a little bit of time today discussing that. An ADU supportive jurisdiction may be any jurisdiction, whether they're subject to the law or not, who is also eligible for funding options created by 1152. So in order to become a supportive jurisdiction, it's not required that you do so. But if you want any of that grant funding, then yes, you do. So you start by submitting the ADU subject jurisdiction report through the upcoming portal that Eugene was mentioning earlier. This is like the preliminary gateway to getting to the subject jurisdiction reporting form. So this makes sure that your code is up to date with what 1152 requires, and then we move into the supportive jurisdiction form. The supportive jurisdiction form has a list of strategies that were outlined in the law that the city must have implemented by the time they're submitting this report. There is no deadline to becoming a supportive jurisdiction, only a deadline for subject jurisdictions. Next slide. This is a quick list of what those strategies are, where a municipality must have implemented at least one of these things in order to be eligible for that grant funding. You don't have to commit all this memory right now, but next slide. We do have guidance on each of them. So the supportive strategy guidance was posted to the ADU subpage, and it contains just a wealth of information on the benefits, the potential pitfalls and responses, and how the strategy works, how to start a program that is listed, and also some examples from Colorado communities. You may use this guidance as a starting place or poll language for presentations. Whatever you need to do with it is totally fine. But next slide. Once you have reviewed that and you can say that one of those strategies has been implemented or will be implemented, then you go forward to submitting both that subject jurisdiction and supportive jurisdiction reporting forms, and DOLA will have 90 days to either approve or request additional information on your request. So once approved, the jurisdiction will be eligible for the ADU fee reduction and encouragement grant program. And just as a reminder, that particular grant program is meant for jurisdictions. However, the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority, CHFA, does also have an additional grant program that's direct to homeowners. So there's two different sources of funding, but you have to be an ADU supportive jurisdiction in order to be eligible for either, including the homeowners in your jurisdiction. Just a quick reminder on some of the assistance that's available for the ADU law. First is, again, that DOLA template land development code that is up to date with 1152's requirements. And the ADU subpage does contain preliminary reporting instructions for becoming a subject jurisdiction or supportive jurisdiction. So if you want to get ahead of the game and pull the information that's required, definitely look at that preliminary reporting instruction sheet. Also, there are some additional code amendment examples posted as well. Again, we're offering courtesy reviews. Please don't hesitate to email us. I get a few a week, and usually I can turn them around within a week as well. But again, if you have that deadline that's coming up really quick, just let me know. Next steps, we are publishing the ADU toolkit pretty soon here. The ADU toolkit will be even more in-depth than the strategies list, but will also include various templates and tools that you can use to implement almost any ADU program. And the goal is to help boost ADU production, but then also to assist local governments as much as we can. If you're going through the toolkit and you feel like something might be missing, or if you could really use a template for a particular part of your project, please let me know and we can work on it from there. We will also be posting the template slides, as Eugene mentioned, and in about 2-ish hours, we are hosting, the Department of Regulatory Agencies, DORA, is hosting a webinar for HOAs, but it'll be focused on ADUs. And with that, I believe I'm turning it over to Mark.
Anna, good morning, everyone. Mark Williams. I'm also a land use technical assistance planner. And if we go to the next slide. So as Hannah said, you've seen this slide before, so the same goes for me. Just a big internal milestone for us. We've reviewed all of the pre-existing housing needs assessments that were submitted by the end of last year. And so if you've gotten those, great. If you want to reach out, schedule a meeting. If you have any questions, just let us know. And then just at a high level for the rest of the items on here, We're still working on guidance for comprehensive plans, and we're right in the middle of developing displacement risk assessment guidance. That's due on June 30th, and then along with the affordability strategies. And not on this page, but on the next page, housing action plans as well. So we'll continue to keep reviewing the housing the housing needs assessments, both local and regional. And we've gotten a few more regional ones. And so we encourage everyone to do them regionally if you can. We're also developing guidance for, as I mentioned, the comp plan that's due by the beginning of next year. So stay tuned for more to come on that. Housing action plan guidance, as I mentioned, is due by June 30th, and that's due as in Double will make that available to everyone. And we'll have a webinar in July. We don't have a date for that yet. By the next meeting, for this monthly meeting, we'll have a date so you can get ahead of that. And we should have plenty of information on doing housing action plans by that point. The same for displacement risk assessment guidance. Also due on June the 30th. This is something that needs to be addressed in the housing action plan. And so we'll obviously probably need to stagger those two webinars. We'll do one for displacement risk as well. But since there's a symbiotic relationship there between housing action plans and displacement risk, we'll try to get them as close together as possible. So perhaps in August, we'll have a date for the displacement risk assessment guidance, and that date will be made available as soon as we have one nailed down. And then also affordability strategies and displacement risk. I think that's just sort of reiterating what I just said. So next slide. Housing needs assessments, I'm sure you probably know this by now, they're due by the end of next year. And the housing action plans are due by a year and a day. So the first day of 2028. One of the things that we're going to start focusing on is trying to think of ways to think regionally for housing needs assessments and housing action plans. The HAP legislation calls for a lot of local actions, but there are still things that you can think about regionally, even if you publish your own separate housing action plan. But these documents can be done regionally in terms of hiring one consultant, so you'll be able to share resources and costs and have one consultant helping you create that document. So if you're in a county, the county could share that that process with the municipalities that are in there. It could be Colorado State Region, which we've seen. It could be a Council of Governments, which we've seen a couple of times. So there's no real limitation on what that region could be. There's another one that's more sort of a commute shed region and in the mountains. So do what makes sense for you. And then obviously we're happy to work with you and think of the best way to help that happen. I also want to point out that this week we had several focus groups with different communities around Colorado to help get feedback for us for housing action plans. So we had some larger governments, we had some regional governments, we had local governments. So it's really helpful for us to get the feedback to see what people who are on the front lines and dealing with, residents in their communities are dealing with and problems they foresee. So that guidance that we got from these meetings this week will definitely be going into the housing action plan guidance that comes out in June. So if were one of the people in one of those focus groups and you're on this meeting, thanks. I just want to reiterate how valuable that input was to us in informing this process. And then should see that stuff later on in just a few months. And so at this point, I'll hand it off to Scott Williamson, I think. Or is it Nathan?
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. So I'll continue that theme of thank you for your involvement. And just a quick recap of the two statewide reports that were required in Senate Bill 174 and how they apply at the local level. So Senate Bill 174 required DOLA to develop a statewide strategic growth report and a natural land and agricultural opportunities report. There's a lot to build from at both the state, regional, and local level in terms of existing planning efforts. The reason this is important at the local level is because Senate Bill 174 also asked local and regional planning commissions to consider these reports when amending comprehensive plans. So the brief update for today on the Natural Land and Agricultural Opportunities Report is really a thank you to those of you who participated in April's local government and regional entity focus groups. Since this report is supposed to be usable directly by you, we wanted to get your input on what format and content would be most helpful for this report and the tools in it. And we got some early input on that, which we'll take into development of an early version of the report. And much more to come on both of these statewide reports, but just wanted to give that quick thank you. And I will go ahead and turn it over to Ashley to talk a little bit more about grant program updates.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everyone. Ashley Basham. I am the Housing and Transit Grant Program Manager. And today I'm just going to briefly cover all of the different grant programs. So round one of the Housing Planning Grant Program closed applications on April 11th. 11 applications representing 23 jurisdictions were received for approximately $900,000 in requested grant funds. 6 of the 11 total applications were multi-jurisdictional and included applications for housing needs assessments, housing action plans, and strategic growth elements of comprehensive plans. If you are interested in applying for round 2 of HPLN, the application will open June 9th and close on July 11th. To apply, you do not need to have a consultant selected when you apply, but you may also utilize a previously procured consultant in line with local procurement guidelines. DOLA staff are available to review your RFP or talk through project scopes prior to submitting an application. And to do that, you can email me directly, and my email is there in the slide. And also I'm going to put a link to our grant program in the chat just so you can easily access that. For accessory dwelling units, the Accessory Dwelling Unit Fee Reduction and Encouragement Grant Program, ADUG, was created to provide grants to accessory dwelling unit supportive jurisdictions for activities that promote the construction of accessory dwelling units, including, but not limited to, offsetting costs incurred in connection with developing pre-approved accessory dwelling unit plans, providing technical assistance to persons converting or constructing accessory dwelling units, or waiving, reducing, or providing financial assistance for accessory dwelling unit associated fees and other required costs. As Hannah briefly mentioned earlier in this presentation, this grant program is geared toward local governments rather than direct to homeowners. So please reach out to Mitch Hendrick if you are interested in providing input on the ADUG grant program guidelines, and we anticipate having those out in early summer. The Transit-Oriented Infrastructure Grant Program, or TOCI, was created to assist local governments in upgrading infrastructure and supporting affordable housing in transit centers and neighborhood centers. DOLA anticipates launching the pilot round of funding through the TOCI program in fall of this year. If you would like to participate in providing input on the program guidelines early this summer, please email me or Mitch. All right. And to wrap up and close out our presentation today, I just want to remind you that the DOLA TA team is always available to meet one-on-one and provide support ahead of deadlines. And we will follow up this webinar with an email covering discussion topics and links provided during the presentation. Always check out our land use and housing website for additional information. And to reiterate earlier portions of this presentation, please know that the DOLA TA team is always available to do courtesy reviews of ordinances. I'll now hand it over to Robin DeFalco, LPC Grant Program Manager, to briefly discuss Prop 123 Local Planning Capacity Grant.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin, and we want to make sure that you know there is a great funding program available that can support all of your implementation efforts. There's a lot of work to be done, but this is a grant program that could help you, for example, adopt ADU strategies or displacement mitigation strategies. It could help you calculate or implement your housing opportunity goals or designate neighborhood centers. You could be updating land use codes to address the parking minimums or occupancy limits, and really any other planning efforts that help advance affordable housing goals in your community. This is a grant program that has a lot of flexibility. It is Prop 123 funding, so you do need to be a Prop 123 eligible jurisdiction, but we do have a funding cycle coming up May 1st through May 30th. If you are interested in applying, please reach out to me to schedule a pre-application meeting, and I will paste the link in the chat for you. Thanks. And back to Eugene, I believe.
All right, Robin, thank you so much for that information. Knowing that there are a number of different resources available, I think is really an exciting opportunity and really critical in helping all of us do this great work. So again, I will want to just say thank you to those of you who have reached out, have been guiding us, informing us, asking really thoughtful questions that in many cases have helped refine and shape the work that we're all working on together. On the screen, for those who are watching online, are our contact information. You saw a lot of people today. There's a lot of folks working behind the scenes, but this is an easy way to get to our technical assistance and grants team members. In addition to the folks that are listed here, we continue to be advised and guided by Nathan, who many of you have worked with before or have seen in this webinar, as well as Kelly, who is with the Colorado Energy Office. So we've got CDOT and the Energy Office still very much aligned with and a part of the team here at DOLA that are really collectively working on these laws and implementation and providing the tools and resources that we hope and feel will help you all at the local level. So we're going to pause the recording at this time and really just open things up for any questions. I think I do see a hand raised, and I will ask my colleagues who are online to potentially assist me with any the Q&A questions, or if we had any that were maybe entered into chat, just so that we can answer those questions. And so Dylan Goodman, I believe, is the person with a hand raised. If you are able to come off mute and ask your question, we'd be happy to take it. So thank you. And if Dylan can't get off mute, is there anyone that
I'm trying to get to Dylan so that I could allow him to ask the question verbally.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate it.
There we go.
Takes a team, everyone. It takes a team.
Did I get the right Dylan?
Yes, you did. I'm sorry. I didn't actually realize I had my hand raised. I think I had misclicked it. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Do we have any other questions from anyone in the audience? All right. Anything in chat that may have been, or the Q&A that may have been entered?
Eugene, we did get an ADU question in the Q&A that I'd like to, I was just typing out a response and I'll finish that, but I'll also answer it live. So the question was, does it count for the ADU compliance report if a code update is in process for approval with the approval agencies, but has not yet been approved? Specifically, they still need to go through public hearings. And to respond to that, that's a perfect example of, or that's a great example for an extension request. So 1152 does allow jurisdictions to apply for an extension in which then they're granted an additional 6 months to get their code wrapped up or get, whatever approvals are necessary from there. So I would recommend that this particular jurisdiction to submit by June 30th that request for an extension, and just literally typing out what they put in the Q&A, and that would work for